6 months after the Battle of Saturn's Rings, the galaxy looked very different. 17 species had broken free from Concord control. They formed a new alliance called the Galactic Union, with each member having an equal voice. Captain Eric Graham stood in the Grand Hall of the new Galactic Council. It was built on a neutral planet called Haven, chosen because it belonged to no single species. Eric remembered the first contact 6 years ago, when the Concord had laughed at humans. Now he represented Earth at this historic gathering. "The Union recognizes Earth," said the council speaker, a tall Voth female. "Captain Graham may address the assembly." Eric walked to the center of the circular room. Representatives from 30 species watched him. Some were former Concord members. Others were races that had been hidden or suppressed for centuries. 6 years ago, humanity learned we were not alone in the universe. Eric began. "We reached out with hope and friendship. We were met with mockery and exploitation." He paused, looking around the room. "But today is not about dwelling on past wrongs. Today is about building a better future. Humans don't want revenge. We want partnership." The remnants of the once mighty Concord had sued for peace 2 months after the battle. Their empire had collapsed as world after world declared independence. Now they sent representatives to the Union, as equals, not rulers. Ambassador Donna Clark led the human diplomatic team that negotiated the peace treaty. She had spent weeks ensuring the agreement was fair to all sides. "Every intelligent species deserves respect," she told the council. "The old Concord believed some races were naturally superior. We reject that idea completely." On a view screen above the council chamber, crowds gathered on dozens of worlds to watch the proceedings. Billions of beings celebrated their new freedom. One of those watching was Lieutenant Maria Diaz. She had documented the initial mockery humans faced during first contact. Now she recorded a very different history. Her journal would become famous across the galaxy as the Human Victory. "We have signed peace treaties with 16 former Concord worlds," Maria wrote. "Earth is becoming known not just for our military strength, but for our compassion. We could have destroyed the Concord completely, but chose cooperation instead." Several Concord species had formally apologized for their arrogance. The Celtic, once the most vocal critics of humanity, sent a delegation to Earth bearing gifts and requesting forgiveness. "We grew complacent," admitted the Celtic ambassador to President Reyes. "We forgot that true strength comes from innovation and adaptation, not tradition and stagnation." Admiral Lisa Powell retired from military service. She now led the new Galactic Defense Academy, where young officers from all species trained together. The academy taught not just military strategy, but ethics and diplomacy. "The battle we fought was necessary," she told her first class of cadets. "But our goal must always be peace. A weapon should be the last option, not the first." The discovery of suppressed technologies in Concord databases led to a technological renaissance. Ideas that had been hidden for centuries were now freely shared. Ships grew faster, medicine more effective, energy sources cleaner. "We've advanced more in 6 months than in the previous 100 years, said scientist George Mason as he worked with colleagues from 7 different species. Earth became a center for cultural exchange. Alien art, music, and literature flowed to human worlds, and human creativity spread throughout the galaxy. The very diversity that the Concord had mocked became the Union's greatest strength. Captain Eric Graham concluded his address to the council with words that would be remembered for generations. "The galaxy once mocked humanity for our differences, our emotions, our stubbornness. They saw these as weaknesses. Now we know the truth. Diversity brings strength. Emotions fuel creativity. Stubbornness becomes determination when facing impossible odds." He looked around at the assembled representatives. "We all have something valuable to contribute. In the Union, no voice is too small to be heard. No species is too young to have wisdom. Together, we will build a galaxy where no one is mocked for being different, but celebrated for what makes them unique." The Battle of Saturn's Rings ended after 18 hours of fighting. The final count was staggering. 218 Concorde ships destroyed or captured, with only 11 human vessels lost. It was the worst defeat the Concorde had suffered in its 2,000-year history. Captain Scott Miller led the diplomatic team that met with the remaining Concorde forces. The meeting took place on a neutral station orbiting Titan. Scott had been chosen because of his calm demeanor and diplomatic skills. "We do not seek your destruction," he told the Concorde representatives. "We only want to be treated as equals." The aliens were silent. Their defeat had shocked them to their core. One by one, they agreed to a temporary ceasefire. The human victory could not be denied. News of the battle spread quickly through faster-than-light communications. On thousands of worlds across the galaxy, beings of all species learned that the mighty Concorde had been defeated by humans, the same humans they had mocked as primitive. Ambassador Axloria, who had warned the Concorde about underestimating humans, addressed the Galactic Council. Many seats were empty. Their occupants had died in the battle. "I cautioned against treating humans as inferior," she said. "Now we must face the consequences of our arrogance." On Earth, celebrations broke out as news of the victory reached home. People danced in the streets. Bells rang from towers. For the first time since meeting the Concorde, humans felt pride instead of shame. Intelligence officer Hannah Rogers made a surprising discovery while examining captured Concorde data systems. She found secret documents that revealed a pattern going back centuries. "They've been doing this to other species for thousands of years," she told Admiral Powell. "Any new spacefaring race is immediately labeled as primitive and suppressed." Hannah pulled up file after file on her screen. The Voth, the Krill, the Zorians, all these species were once independent. All were forced into protectorate status, just like us. Powell studied the information carefully. "So the Concorde's power isn't built on superior technology. It's built on keeping others down." "Exactly," said Hannah. "They take promising species and convince them they're inferior. Then they steal their resources and use them as cheap labor." While Hannah uncovered the Concorde's secrets, scientist William Peterson studied captured alien technology on the research station near Europa. What he found confirmed their suspicions. "Their tech isn't thousands of years ahead of ours," he reported to President Reyes. "In some areas, they're only a few decades ahead. In others, we're actually more advanced." William held up a Concorde power core. "They're still using quantum fusion. We developed quantum folding 5 years ago." His team examined weapons, engines, and shields from the captured ships. "The Concorde hasn't had any real competition in centuries. Their technology has stagnated. They stopped innovating because they didn't need to." The most remarkable discovery came when Williams' team found a hidden database. It contained thousands of technologies that the Concorde had suppressed, inventions from various species that might have threatened Concorde dominance. "They didn't just hold us back," Williams said. "They'd been holding back the entire galaxy." As these revelations spread, previously subjugated alien races began to question their status. Small rebellions broke out on dozens of worlds. Species that had accepted Concorde rule for generations suddenly demanded freedom. The Voth were the first to openly declare independence, then the Krell. Within weeks, 7 species had broken away from Concorde control. On the Concorde homeworld, the High Council met in emergency session. Their entire power structure was crumbling. The defeat at Saturn had exposed the lie at the heart of their empire. "How could this happen?" asked the High Chancellor. "How could humans defeat our best ships?" The answer was simple, though no one dared say it aloud. The Concorde had believed its own propaganda. They had convinced themselves that other species were naturally inferior, and in their arrogance, they had awakened a sleeping giant. 6 hours into the battle, the impossible was happening. The human fleet had destroyed 43 alien vessels, while losing only 5 of their own. The Concorde commanders could not believe what their sensors told them. Admiral Greg Turner coordinated the complex battle plan from the command ship *Resolve*. His calm voice guided the human fleet through maneuvers that confused and split the Concord forces. Group 3, move to position Delta. Group 2, prepare for the next phase. The human ships moved in patterns that seemed random to the Concord, but there was nothing random about it. Every move was part of Kate Walsh's master plan, designed to separate the Concord fleet into smaller groups. On the Concord flagship, Supreme Commander Golvek was growing desperate. His officers had never seen him show fear before, but now it was clear in his 6 eyes. How are they predicting our moves? He demanded. How are their weapons cutting through our shields so easily? No one had answers. The Concord had grown used to easy victories. They had forgotten how to fight a real battle against a determined enemy. Laura King, communications specialist on the human ship Courage listened to the Concord transmissions. Her job was to intercept and translate their messages. "Sir," she called to her captain, "they're panicking. Their commanders are arguing about what to do next." The captain nodded. "Good. Confusion leads to mistakes." The human fleet continued its deadly dance through Saturn's rings, using the debris as both shield and weapon. When Concord ships fired, humans ducked behind massive ice chunks. When humans attacked, they pushed smaller debris ahead of them, overwhelming Concord sensors. On the Resolve Admiral Turner received a message from Earth. "Nova weapon is ready for deployment," said the voice of Alan Nguyen. "But sir, I must warn you, we've only tested it once." Turner looked at the tactical display. A large group of Concord ships had gathered in a defensive formation. It was the perfect target. "Deploy Nova to these coordinates," he ordered. "All nearby ships, pull back immediately." The Nova weapon was humanity's greatest secret. Developed from theories the Concord had dismissed as beyond human understanding, it manipulated spacetime itself. A small unmanned vessel moved toward the target area. It looked harmless, barely large enough to be noticed. The Concord ignored it, focusing on the larger human ships. That was their mistake. The Nova activated. For a brief moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then space itself appeared to fold around 20 Concord ships. Their shields flickered and died as the energy was drained from them. "All ships are vulnerable," Turner announced. "Commander Black, you have your opening." Commander Ryan Black had been waiting for this moment. His Special Forces teams launched in small, fast-boarding craft. The Concord had never imagined humans would dare to board their vessels. They had no defense against it. Ryan led the first team onto a Concord dreadnought. The alien crew was in chaos, trying to restore power to their shields. They barely noticed the humans entering through a maintenance hatch. "Team 1, secure the engine room," Ryan ordered quietly. "Team 2, with me to the bridge." Fighting was brief but intense. The aliens were physically stronger, but humans were quicker and more adaptable. Within 20 minutes, Ryan stood on the bridge of the captured dreadnought. "Concord vessel Dominant is now under human control," he reported to Admiral Turner. Other boarding teams had similar success. 5 more Concord ships were captured intact. When the first alien prisoners were brought to the human ships, Medical Officer Julia White was ready. Despite everything the Concord had done, she treated their injuries with care. "Why do you help us?" asked the wounded alien. "We would not have shown you such kindness." Julia cleaned a cut on his arm. "That's the difference between us. We're fighting because we have to, not because we want to." As news spread throughout the Concord fleet that humans were not only winning but showing mercy to prisoners, something changed. Some Concord ships began to retreat. Others stopped firing altogether. The tide of battle had shifted. For the first time in centuries, the mighty Concord was losing. Saturn's rings glittered like diamonds against the black of space. Chunks of ice and dust, some as small as sand grains, others as large as houses, formed a perfect hiding place for the human fleet. Captain Nicole Peters positioned her ship, the Liberty behind a large chunk of ice. 26 other human vessels did the same, each hiding in the endless field of debris. From a distance, they were invisible. Power down all non-essential systems, Nickel ordered. Minimum life support only. We need to be ghosts until they're right on top of us. The crew moved quietly in the dim emergency lighting. The ship cooled as heating systems went to their lowest settings. Everyone wore extra layers to stay warm. Concorde fleet will reach Saturn's orbit in 30 minutes, reported the sensor officer. His breath made small clouds in the cold air. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Daniel Wright prepared the first wave of specialized fighters. These small, one-person ships were hidden in the rings, separate from the main fleet. They were Earth's first surprise. "Remember your training," he told his pilots over the radio. "Hit their sensor arrays first, then their engines. Don't try to fight their escorts. Just hit and run." In the engine room of the Liberty Chief Engineer Susan Martinez made final adjustments to the experimental shield harmonics. The technology was based on Paul Dixon's breakthrough. "If this works," she said to her team, "their weapons will make our shields stronger instead of weaker." The Concorde fleet appeared on schedule. 300 warships in perfect formation moved toward Saturn. They were confident, not bothering to scan for traps. Why would they? Humans were primitive. Their ships were toys compared to Concorde technology. Supreme Commander Golvek opened all communication channels, broadcasting his message across the system. "Attention human vessels. This is your final warning. Surrender now or be destroyed." For a moment, there was silence. Then Admiral Powell's voice responded from her flagship, the Resolve *. "We've heard enough warnings," she said calmly. "We've heard enough mockery. Today you learn what humans do when backed into a corner." Golvek laughed. "Your bravery is amusing but pointless. Begin the attack." The Concorde ships fired their weapons. Streams of energy cut through space towards Saturn. They expected to hit the human fleet hiding behind the planet. But the humans weren't there. "No impacts," reported a confused Concorde officer. "No debris." That's when the first human fighters emerged from Saturn's rings. 50 small ships, barely large enough for one pilot each, shot out from hiding. They moved faster than any ship the Concorde had ever seen. "Impossible," gasped Golvek. "Their acceleration would kill any living pilot." What he didn't know was that human scientists had developed a special fluid for the pilots to breathe. It absorbed the crushing force of acceleration, allowing humans to survive maneuvers that would kill most species. The fighters hit the front line of the Concorde fleet. Their weapons targeted sensor arrays and engine exhausts with surgical precision. Before the Concorde could respond, the fighters vanished back into the rings. Angry now, Golvek ordered his fleet to fire directly into Saturn's rings, vaporize that debris field, leave nowhere for them to hide. Hundreds of energy beams sliced into the rings. Ice and dust exploded into clouds of vapor. But as the debris cleared, the Concorde saw something that shocked them. The human fleet was there, in plain sight, not running or hiding. And they were completely unarmed. The Concorde fired again, directly at the human ships. The energy beams hit the human shields, and something amazing happened. The shields glowed brighter, but didn't fail. Instead, they seemed to grow stronger. "What trickery is this?" demanded Golvek. "Their shields should be collapsing." On the bridge of the Liberty *, Captain Peters smiled as the Concorde fired a third time with the same result. Chief Engineer Martinez, she called over the intercom, "Your shield harmonics are working perfectly." The Concorde had expected an easy victory. They had expected human ships to explode after the first volley. Instead, their weapons were having no effect. For the first time, doubt showed on Golvek's face. These were not the primitive humans they had mocked for years. These humans had technology that should be centuries beyond their development level. "All ships," he ordered, "switch to maximum power. Destroy them at any cost." The real battle was about to begin. Kate Walsh had never expected to plan humanity's most important battle. She stood in the war room, surrounded by military leaders from around the world. As Earth's top military strategist, all eyes were on her. "The Concorde expects us to defend Earth directly," she said, pointing to the holographic map of the solar system. "We won't do that. We'll fight where they don't expect us." Her plan was bold. Instead of protecting Earth, the human fleet would gather near Saturn. The gas giant's rings would give them cover and a tactical advantage. "The Concorde thinks in straight lines," Kate explained. "They attack head-on because they've always been stronger than their enemies. We'll use that against them." While Kate finalized the battle plan, engineer Paul Dixon worked frantically in his lab on Mars. For 5 years, he had studied captured pieces of Concorde technology. Now he had found something important. "Their shields operate on a frequency pattern," he told Admiral Powell over a secure channel. "If we hit them with the exact opposite pattern, we can create a destructive wave that collapses their defenses." Powell smiled. "Can you make it work?" "Already have," Paul said, showing her a small device. "This can be fitted to our ship weapons. One hit will take down their shields completely." Across the solar system, humanity prepared. Commander Ryan Black trained his Special Forces team on a secret base on Titan, Saturn's largest moon. His soldiers learned to board alien ships, move in zero gravity, and use the Concorde's own systems against them. "The aliens think humans are weak," Ryan told his team. "But they've never faced soldiers like you." As Earth's preparations continued, physicist Alan Nguyen worked day and night on the theoretical calculations for what everyone was calling the Nova weapon. It was risky technology, bending the laws of physics in ways that could backfire catastrophically. "I need more time," he protested when Admiral Powell visited his lab. "The Concorde fleet will reach Saturn in 4 days," she replied. "Make it work by then." The Concorde fleet moved slowly through the outer solar system, confident in their superiority. Supreme Commander Golvek stood on the bridge of his flagship, a massive vessel 3 kilometers long. "Humans have 27 warships," he told his officers. "We have 300. This will not be a battle. It will be a lesson." What Golvek didn't know was that humans had been preparing for this moment for 5 years. Every insult, every mockery had only fueled their determination. 3 days before the Concorde reached Saturn, they sent a final message to Earth. A hologram of Supreme Commander Golvek appeared in government buildings around the world. "Your rebellion is futile," he said, his 6 eyes blinking in sequence. "Surrender now, and we will be merciful. You have 24 hours to decide." President Race didn't need 24 hours. His response was immediate. "Humanity does not surrender to bullies, no matter how big they are." The human fleet gathered in Saturn's rings. 27 ships seemed small compared to the massive Concorde Armada, but each human vessel carried technology that the aliens thought impossible for humans to develop. Captain Nicole Peters of the warship Liberty addressed her crew. "Today we fight not just for Earth, but for every species the Concorde has ever looked down on. Today we show the galaxy that humanity deserves respect." The plan was set. The Nova weapon was ready, though Alan Nguyen still worried about its stability. Paul Dixon's shield breaker devices were installed on all human ships. Commander Ryan Black's Special Forces teams were in position. As the Concorde fleet approached Saturn, Admiral Powell sent one last message to all human ships. "Remember, they think we're primitive. They think we're predictable. Let's show them how wrong they are." The greatest battle in human history was about to begin. Not near Earth, as the Concorde expected, but in the beautiful rings of Saturn. And it would change the galaxy forever. The Concorde's announcement came on a Monday. They planned to relocate 3 million humans to work on alien mining worlds. The news spread across Earth like fire. In homes and offices, on farms and in factories, people watched their screens in horror. On Mars, Samantha Hill stood on the red soil outside New Denver Colony. Her face was grim as she addressed the 2,000 settlers who had gathered. "They think we will go quietly," she said, her voice carrying in the thin Martian air through their helmet communicators. "They think we are sheep to be moved from one pen to another. We are not." The crowd cheered. Signs rose above their heads. Mars is our home. Humans are not slaves. The resistance had begun. Back on Earth, the first forced relocation was already underway. 5,000 people from Brazil were loaded onto Concorde transport ships. The aliens had promised good conditions, fair work, and new homes. 3 days later, the news broke. 423 humans had died when the alien life support systems proved incompatible with human biology. The Concorde called it an unfortunate miscalculation. Captain Frank Collins of the warship Defiance was in orbit around Jupiter when he heard the news. His ship was hidden inside a cloud of debris, avoiding Concorde patrols. His crew gathered around him, faces showing anger and grief. "My cousin was on that transport," said a young officer, her voice breaking. Frank put his hand on her shoulder. "Remember this feeling," he said quietly. "When the time comes, remember why we fight." In the Concorde's Grand Council chamber, not everyone agreed with the harsh treatment of humans. Ambassador Arxloria stood before the council, her 4 arms raised in the gesture of formal protest. "You are making a mistake," she warned. "I have studied Earth's history. When humans are backed into a corner, they become most dangerous. They call it fighting spirit. We have no equivalent concept in our culture." General Scathar laughed, a harsh sound that echoed in the chamber. "What will they fight with? Sticks and stones. Their most advanced ships would be target practice for our smallest fighters." On Earth, the unified government met in emergency session. Representatives from every nation gathered in the old United Nations building in New York. The room was tense as President Carlos Reyes addressed the assembly. "We have exhausted diplomatic options," he said. "The Concorde views our attempts at peaceful resolution as weakness. They will take our people as slaves and work them to death on alien worlds." He paused, looking at the faces around him. "Today we must choose submission or resistance." The vote was unanimous. Earth would not surrender its people. An ultimatum was sent to the Concorde, demanding equal status and an end to forced relocations. The Concorde's response came quickly. They would send a disciplinary fleet to Earth to correct the misunderstanding. 100 ships, then 200, then 300 gathered at the edge of the solar system. It was the largest fleet the Concorde had assembled in 5 centuries. Admiral Lisa Powell met with her commanders in the secret base beneath Cheyenne Mountain. The room was silent as she laid out their options. "We have 27 warships ready," she said. "The Defiance the Courage the Liberty and 24 others, against 300 Concorde vessels." General Pat Kim shook his head. "The odds are impossible." Lisa smiled for the first time. "Impossible odds. That's where humans excel." She activated the holographic display in the center of the table. A plan appeared, showing positions around Saturn. "The Concorde thinks we're primitive, weak, and predictable," she said. "They think our technology is generations behind theirs. Let's show them how wrong they are." As the Concorde fleet approached Earth, humanity prepared for the greatest battle in its history, not for glory or conquest, but for the right to exist as equals in a galaxy that had only offered mockery. 5 years passed since the Horizon returned from Taw Ceti with news that shocked Earth. Humans were not alone in the universe, but they were not welcome as equals. They were the joke of the galaxy. Admiral Lisa Powell stood at the window of her underground office. Outside, the Rocky Mountains rose into the blue Colorado sky. But Lisa wasn't looking at the mountains. Her mind was on the stars, and on the aliens who thought humans were weak. "Operation Longshot is making good progress," she said to the room behind her. "Show me the latest reports." The room held 12 people. They were the leaders of Earth's secret response to the Galactic Concorde's mockery. Dr. George Mason, a thin man with kind eyes and a serious face, stood up. "The shield technology is working better than expected. We've taken the principles that the aliens dismissed as impossible for humans to understand, and made them work. Next to him, Dr. Olivia Ward nodded. The aliens didn't think we could understand quantum field manipulation. They were wrong. While Earth prepared in secret, the Concorde had started to treat the solar system like a mining colony. They sent massive ships to Jupiter and Saturn, taking resources without asking. They set up bases on Mars, pushing aside the human settlements that were already there. Ben Russell, a diplomatic officer who had been on the first contact mission, tried reasoning with the Concorde representatives. These are our planets. You can't just take what you want. The Concorde official, a tall being named General Scathar, laughed at him. Your species barely understands how to use these resources. You're like children sitting on a pile of treasure, but playing with the dirt instead. The general pointed a long finger at Ben. You should be grateful we're handling the complex work. Barely evolved apes like you shouldn't play with technology you don't understand. On Mars, things were getting worse. The largest human settlement, New Denver, was running low on supplies because Concorde ships were taking all the transport slots from Earth. Samantha Hill, the colony administrator, called an emergency meeting. We need to start growing more food here. The Concorde doesn't care if we starve. A man stood up in the back of the room. My brother works at their base in Valles Marineris. He says they call us dirt diggers when they think we can't hear them. Back on Earth, nations that had once fought each other now work together. The old differences seemed small compared to the threat from the stars. Chinese scientists worked with American engineers. Russian programmers collaborated with Japanese robotics experts. The whole planet united under the pressure of cosmic irrelevance. In orbit around Neptune, hidden from the Concorde's regular patrol routes, Earth was building its first real warships. The Defiance was nearly complete, its captain already chosen. Frank Collins had been a submarine commander before the aliens came. Now he would command humanity's first space warship. The weapons systems are online, reported his first officer, but we still haven't tested them against Concorde shields. Frank nodded. Let's hope Dr. Mason's theories are correct. If not, this will be a very short war. Meanwhile, not all aliens agreed with the Concorde's treatment of humans. Ambassador Arxeloria, from a species called the Voth, warned the Concorde Council. I have studied Earth's history. These humans adapt quickly. They have fought thousands of wars against each other. They understand conflict in ways we have forgotten. The head counselor dismissed her concerns. They are primitive. Their ships can barely reach their own moon without breaking down. What threat could they possibly pose? As the Concorde continued to exploit Earth's resources, humanity's anger grew. When Admiral Powell received news that the aliens planned to relocate millions of humans to work as manual laborers on alien worlds, she knew time was running out. Tell all project leads to accelerate their timelines, she ordered. The Concorde thinks we'll accept being their slaves. They're about to learn how wrong they are. The year was 2158. Humanity had finally achieved what was once thought impossible, faster than light travel. After centuries of dreaming about the stars, people were ready to explore beyond their solar system. Captain Eric Graham stood on the bridge of the exploration vessel Horizon. He was a tall man with graying hair at his temples. His blue eyes looked out at the stars through the main viewport. This mission would make history. They were the first humans to travel to another star system. Captain, we're approaching the Ta Ceti system, said Lieutenant Maria Diaz. Her fingers moved quickly across her control panel. All systems functioning normally. Eric nodded. Prepare the first contact protocols. This is what we've trained for. The crew of 30 men and women had been selected from the best Earth had to offer. Scientists, soldiers, diplomats, all chosen for this historic mission. They represented humanity's finest achievement. As the Horizon entered the Ta Ceti system, their sensors detected something unexpected. There were artificial structures orbiting the fourth planet. Someone was already here. Captain, we're receiving a transmission, said Communications Officer Jack Nelson. His eyes widened. It's Not in any language we know. Before Eric could respond, a holographic image appeared on the bridge. It showed a being unlike anything they had ever seen. The alien had purple skin with 6 eyes arranged in a circle on its face. When it spoke, the ship's computers struggled to translate. Unknown vessel, you have entered territory of the Galactic Concord. Identify yourself.